Hi, I'm Christina Heidick with PTO Answers, and I'm here today to talk to you about some questions that you should for sure be asking before you sign the fundraising contract. Okay, the first thing you should be asking before you sign the fundraising contract for your PTO is the company reputable? Like, has this company been around? Have they had a good history of fulfilling orders? Are their products good? Are their products things that your parents are going to want to buy? All of that needs to be taken into consideration before you sign the company or before you sign the contract, because you don't want to be signing a contract with a company that is going to maybe go out of business or is not going to be able to fulfill their orders. I know there was a huge problem just this last year with a company that fulfills school supply orders, and a lot of PTOs were left in the lurch where the products weren't delivered on time, and that was a problem because school was starting and a lot of families had bought the supply kits from this company through this fundraiser, and they didn't have their stuff when school started. So that was like a major issue. So you want to make sure that they've had no issues or very few issues, because stuff comes up. I understand that. I'm not saying find a perfect company. I'm just saying find a company that is generally reputable. The next thing you want to take into account before you sign the contract is who is the representative? How long have they been with this company? What did they do before they came to this company? And that second question is something you're going to want to ask, especially if the representative has only been with that company for a couple of years. And this is important because you want someone who is experienced and skilled at this, because they're not only selling to you as the fundraising chair in order to get the contract with your PTO, but they also need to be able to do the assemblies where they get the kids really excited. So if they're brand new, they might not know the best tactics, even if they've been trained well. It's just another consideration to take into account. When I was interviewing fundraising companies and representatives, that is something I looked at and considered, and I went with like a relatively young go-getter who also had kids, because he was going to understand like what kids really liked, versus maybe someone who's had a lot of experience but who isn't as charismatic with kids. Definitely a consideration to take into account. The next thing you're going to want to make sure that you're totally clear on before you sign on that dotted line is how much you're going to be making from this fundraiser. Like, what's the profit? For a lot of food-based fundraisers, the profit is 50-50, but as you get onto the non-food stuff, it can be as little as 25%. You have to look at, is all of the work that you're putting into this fundraiser going to be worth it if you're only getting 25% of the profit? You also need to be aware of what expenses are involved in the fundraiser. There's always expenses if it comes down to like the running off the flyers, putting together the packets, paying for prizes. Who's paying for that? Is it a 50-50 split, or is the company paying for all of that? Make sure that you're clear on that before you sign. You also want to be clear on order submissions and the whole process for entering orders. If it's something where you have to go line by line and enter each individual order in or item in separately for the fundraiser, like maybe you don't have time for that, or maybe you're not good at data entry, so maybe this is not a good fundraiser for you. You also want to ask the policy for late orders, like how has that happened, because you know they happen. Even if you set a deadline that's kind of like a fake deadline, so you could say that all orders are due to you by November 3rd, when really you don't have to have the orders entered in or submitted to the company until November 5th, so that you give yourself that couple days as wiggle room for those families who's struggling with the forms late. Just keep that in mind. The other thing you're going to want to ask is, how do the orders come? Are they pre-sorted, or does your PTO have to do all of the sorting? I know I shared this story before with you about the little fun-shaped pastas. My PTA did a fundraiser one year, and I wasn't involved with selecting this fundraiser, but I was helping sort the orders because they came unsorted. So we got about 80 different boxes, and they were all like, one box was all soccer shaped pasta, and the other one was ballerina pasta, and the other one was Ohio State pasta. And so we had to sort all of the orders by hand, and we didn't have a lot of real estate to work in, so we were stepping over 8 boxes or 5 boxes at a time, and it was really crazy because we were in a very small room. It was kind of funny for a little bit, but we quickly got tired of that game. So ask if they come pre-sorted, perfect. If they don't, and you're going to have to sort them, figure out if you have the manpower to do it and also the space and the time, because that's really important. The last thing you're going to want to ask is, how are refrigerated items dealt with? Is it that everything is delivered to you as the PTO and you're responsible for getting them to the parents that one same night? Maybe the company will come back a second time and have a second delivery date. The PTA at my upper elementary school, they did a fundraiser where the company was actually really fantastic. We were doing cookie dough as part of the sale, and they came back multiple times. It was really helpful to provide multiple options for families, so they knew if they couldn't make it on the first night, they could come on the second night and get their orders. I hope that you will take all of these questions into consideration and get them answered before you sign on that dotted line for your fundraiser. It'll save you a whole bunch of headaches down the road. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe so that you can keep getting great information about how to run your PTO.